Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. It is Monday, and I am feeling a little frisky, so I decided to go live to show you guys some of the books that I'm going to be sending into CGC. As I mentioned, I think yesterday during the live stream, a tremendous amount of books have been moving their way through CGC and making their way to me. I had another one that I think was actually mailed earlier today, so that's giving me the motivation to allow some more books to leave the house and actually make their way to CGC. And I will tell you, I was going to fast track this order. It's going to fast track it. And then I looked at the price and I was like, maybe I'm not in that much of a rush to get my books back. So I did not fast track them because the price, just roughly speaking, the price was almost double to fast track. And I was like, I cannot do that. That's a lot of money. And I'm not a big fan of fast tracking. Generally speaking, I send stuff in and it works its way through when it's supposed to. But because of the turnaround times now, I was thinking that fast tracking may be a good thing. And then I saw that price and I did it. I put them all in there with the fast track and I looked at the price and I was like, let's take that fast track out. Let's see what that number looks like. We're like, that actually is a much better number. So I don't know when these books are going to come back, but I am going to be sending these books in. I do believe I'll be bundling many of these up tonight. I will probably be doing a clean and a press and a grading on all of these books. Some of these books, I'll tell you that it doesn't matter what the grade is. The value is there to warrant getting them clean pressed and graded. So I think that it'll be fine by and large for just about everything that I'm sending. So sometimes you just feel frisky and you just go with the friskiness. It is good to see you, my friend. Tina's up in here. It's good to see you. Philtastic is in the house. Juggernaut, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Stand up. It's good to see you. So let me show you guys a couple of the books that I'm sending in. This book right here is super popular. Omega Red's first appearance. People are very excited about this book. I want to say I already have this book in a 9.8. I actually purchased a 9.8. I want to say it's actually a CBCS book. At the time, I was looking at the CGC and the CBCS, and there was probably like a $25 difference. And I was like, well, that CBCS book looks just fine to me. So I went ahead and picked that one up. So I think I just have that one graded, and that is a 9.8. But what we're going to do is we're going to take Shot on Goal, and we're going to send in a couple of copies of that. What is that? 5, 3, 5. Yeah, 5 copies of Omega Red's first appearance, and we'll see whether he actually makes his way into the MCU or not. That is actually a really, really gorgeous cover. I enjoy that cover. Jim Lee did his thing with that one. I definitely like that one. So we'll see what happens with those. I don't know, honestly, if there is a 9.8 in there, but they should come back a relatively high grade. So I think that it'll be fine. So let me see what you guys are talking about. More people flowing in. Edwin, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Quest Dog is in here. My man William is in here. I missed it there, right there. There we go. William's in here. Good to see you guys. Might be time. So here's the thing. I don't need to try EGS. I don't know. I think a lot of people, I've had a lot of people try to introduce me to EGS. So I introduced EGS to the comic book market 3 years ago when Tony Trebetta came to me and was like, hey, I have this company. Let's talk about it. So we spent a lot of time over a series of probably a couple of months. I was giving him advice and helped introduce him to the comic book community. He came on the show and we talked about what he was trying to do and why he was trying to do it. I was also, I want to say, his second or third order. The first order that he did, I think, was for his mother. The second might have been White Whale Comics, and then I might have been the third. So either I was second or third, depending upon how you look at it. But I just actually appeared on EGS's website, YouTube channel just the other day. So if you guys haven't seen that, I definitely want to encourage you guys to check it out. But while I am a huge fan of competition and supporting EGS and CBCS, who I give advice to from time to time, my preference is still CGC. I still have a personal preference, but I don't want to impose my personal preferences on anybody else. So again, there's a lot of really great things out there that people should explore. So how you doing, Johnny? It's good to see you. Pretty fly for a Filipino guy, brother. Honestly, Omega Red has been Red Ocean for a little while, right? I mean, it's been like off and on, but it's pretty Red Ocean right now. Let me see. What is do I have any newsstands? Nope, I do not have any newsstands. I actually have one or two more X-Men bins that I need to go through because I may have a couple more copies of that book, and I will probably send those in as well. So this next book is one that I've been holding on to for quite some time. I don't know why I didn't send it in before. Maybe the values weren't quite where they needed to be, but because of everything happening now, kind of warrants sending some extra books in. This is Batman Dark Knight Returns issue number 1. And I want to say I sent in several copies of issue number 2 many months ago that I've already, gotten those back and sold some of those. I think there's one more still hanging out on regiecollects.com, but the vast majority of those have been sold. So I actually have, how many copies of this one? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 copies of that one as well that are going to be sent in. And fingers crossed we get some good grades on them. I think one of these might be a second print. I think one might be a second print. So we're going to send these in, and fingers crossed for those. Those are our square bound books. So there will be no press on those, but I will wipe them down with a microfiber cloth before sending them in. But fingers crossed we get some good grades on that one as well. So Rylan says, I'll be submitting mine and got them back in a shade under. He was a hair's breadth away from a 1 year turnaround time. It's brutal. It is brutal out there in these streets, man. Sky, how you doing? It is brutal with turnaround times for a lot of stuff right now. I mean, I tell people this before, man, like everything is getting hit hard right now, like inventory for comic book supplies is in short order. Like every place, you try to get bags and boards and people want to charge extra for bags and boards just because it is interesting times right now. A lot of inventory, a lot of suppliers don't have stock. And that's just the sad truth of it. And the service companies are also being hit hard. I mean, I'm still trying to get a plumber to run the line for me for a water cooler, and I can barely get people to show up. And when they show up, they don't get back with quotes. Like, I'm trying to give you money. Do you not like money? It's interesting time right now. So scrolling through, what is this? I grew up in Germany at a military base and retrieve some of the comics from my childhood, among them Iron Man 55. Congrats on that. ASM 250. I'm sorry, 232, 252, 361. Very good. All Mark Jewelers. That's what's up. Congrats, brother. I'm gonna need you, Ryland, to take 1G. Take 1G out of that Regie. Just one. It's just 1G. But no, congrats, brother, on that. Good luck with that. Let me see. I submitted a book back in early January and just got you. Well, congrats on that, Rex, because I'm gonna tell you, brother, I submitted some books on 1/5. Still haven't gotten those back. I think that those were the ones that were actually released just today. And so fingers crossed that before week's end, they will actually be here in my possession. And I tell people, I had over 150 books at CGC, over 150. And so they are little by little making their way back to me. So what's the amount of time you say, you know what, here's the thing. I don't even guess. My philosophy right now, and probably for a while, is send it and forget it. My very first submission into CGC, well, let me restate. One of my earliest submissions into CGC was 6 months. It was 6 months. I have an order with CBCS right now that has been sitting for 4 months. The big difference there is that CGC doesn't charge you right away. CBCS has been holding my money for that entire period of time. So at least that's what I believe based upon like the paperwork that shows that it's been paid or whatever. That's one of the big differences, that they're actually sitting on my money, probably making some interest on what I sent in. What is that? I have first print Dark Knights, but one has a scratch on the cover. Wonder what a 1-inch scratch knocks it down to. Well, it probably won't be a 9.8, right? Depends upon, is it showing the white underneath? Is it scratched all the way through the ink on the cover? I mean, I it's hard to say. It's hard to say, right? Because is it a 9.8 with that one defect? And if so, you might be able to determine what that's going to impact it. But are there other defects that should also be considered? That's the hard part, the unknown for me, right? Scrolling through some of the comments here. All right, cool. I think I'm all caught up. What's your biggest surprise on a book you've received back? I don't really know how to answer that question. I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess what you're asking me is, have I sent in a low grade book that came back high grade or vice versa? I don't know that I have any of those horror stories, to be honest with you. I mean, one of the biggest surprises, honestly, is I sent a book in, 2 identical books, and one came back a reprint. That was a surprise. And come to find out, it actually wasn't a reprint. It was actually a mistake that had been made. I notified CGC of the mistake, and they actually got the book. I sent the book to them, and they got it turned around in about a week. And that was actually pretty cool, right? I had to wait for it, and gladly I spotted the mistake. But that was probably one of the biggest surprises, I would say, was that one right there. So here's another book that I'm sending in, Knights of the Republic issue number 9. All the Star Wars fans out there, I will tell you, there's a video that's going to be coming out either this week or next week. I can't recall, with 1 copy of this. In that video, I was lucky enough to find a total of 2 additional copies of this book. And again, stay tuned for my CGC unboxings that are going to be coming up probably for the next couple of weeks based upon how things are going. So again, the Star Wars books right now, Star Wars properties are pretty hot. So that was a cool book. I think it has a first appearance in there. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, to be honest with you, but let me see. I don't know. Are you talking about the Kang from Loki? Because he seemed to be off his rocker. Okay, so I'm not sure he's going to be your best advocate with getting your books back. It's worth a try. It's worth a try. What is this? Rex says, personally, I've been holding back a lot of my early FFs, first Black Bolt and Gorgon, in high grade because of CGC's quality control issues. I respect it, brother. I respect it. All right. Yes. Oh, here we go. There you go. This is correct. This is correct. Long live and prosper, my good brother, Pretty Fly, for a Filipino guy. We are all about that Star Trek life. All right. So this next book, I don't know. Depends on where you stand. It's either the first appearance or the first cameo appearance of Gambit. Depends on, most of the time, which book you own. I personally try to own both, so I don't have to get into the debate. But this is X-Men annual issue number 14 right there. I do believe I already have this at a 9.8. I have another copy of this that is not as nice as this one. I'm not certain that this one will be a 9.8, but it definitely will be a high grade copy. At least 9.4, if not 9.6 on that one. There's a little something going on the back, so I'm hopeful that it'll be in good shape. So, come on, man. Come on. I didn't ask for this life. Yes. No, I'm gonna be honest with you. So, Captain Picard is my favorite captain. Captain Picard is just, he is the man. Kirk was the man for his time. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kirk got into some stuff. Picard was much more reserved, much more, let's walk down this mountain, whereas Kirk was like, let's jump off the mountain and crash into what's at the bottom. Two different approaches. But then I also like Cisco. I thought Cisco was a dope captain, especially for the station and what he had to interact with. I mean, it different times, different captains. I don't think that they should cross over, to be honest with you, but each one is dope. But if you give me the option between those two, I would go with Picard, because I thought he was dope. There, Goosefang's on the word. No, we're not gonna. I'm gonna stop responding to 2Gs. I do like Data. Data was the man. All right, so here's another one that we're going to send in for all the turtle fans out there. This is the 5th print. This is the 5th print of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 1. I want to say I have like 4 copies of this. I want to say I have 4 copies of this one. I traded one away. I traded one away to Master Blaster for a piece of original Spider-Man art. I do believe it was from Eric Larson. I traded that away, but I have this copy. It is a pretty nice copy. This one we may be looking at like a 9.2, maybe like a 9.2, depends on how well they clean it. I have a couple of more copies. They actually have rust on the staples, so not much I'm going to be able to do with those, but this one rust free, and we may be able to get a decent grade off of it, so fingers crossed. What's cool with this one is that I find occasionally a note from the original owner of these books where he actually had a piece of like paper taped to the book where it'll have a notation on there, like it'll be like number 1, 5th print or something like that. It's just these cool little moments that you occasionally find when you're looking through books that I enjoy those moments, you know. So there was one that was on a copy of that book that I kind of harken back to. Scrolling through. Let me see. I know. I know. Ooh, you know. The danger, because I actually do have a the pointed Dremel tool where I try to clean it off. It depends upon how much rust there is, because sometimes the rust actually goes like into the metal, sometimes it's right on the surface. So honestly, the first thing I do is to try to wipe it down with a cloth, because sometimes you can get a little bit of that surface stuff off really easy. Then sometimes you have to Dremel it. The challenge, of course, is hitting the paper. It depends upon where that staple is within the within context of the paper, you know. And so there's that little, I'm not the most delicate man, let's put it I'm not the most delicate man, but yeah, Tina, you're definitely onto something, because the Dremel has saved me on many occasions, let me tell you. Let me see. So next up, we have some cool books. I think I've shown these books to you guys before. Right there, Aliens 1 first print. I was a huge, and still am, Alien fan from back in the day. Love some Sigourney Weaver. So we actually have 2 copies of this that we are going to be sending in. These might be black covers are tough. We might be looking at like 9.4s. Fingers crossed on those. So a couple of copies of Aliens issue number 1. Really cool find. I felt like that was one that should have been in the collection. It took me a little while, but finally stumbled upon a couple of copies. So I'm definitely pleased about that. Another book that I'm sending in that also has a counterpart or 2 that suffers from a little bit of rust is this one right here, Black Panther issue number 1. This book, if you haven't looked this book up lately, look it up, because it is going for a ridiculous amount of money in a 9.8. So much so that I was taken aback. So I was like taken aback at the price of it. I actually had to go immediately digging in the bins to try to find a copy of this. And I did. This one, I will tell you, is not a 9.8, but that is okay. It is still a really awesome book. And I sometimes kick myself because I actually had a couple of graded copies of that book that I gave away as part of the GoCollect giveaway. Now I wish I had just saved a copy for myself. But alas, I don't think that I do have a copy. I might need to go dig it in my own bins to see whether I have a copy of that hidden. Thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate that. Who is that? Is Chris Bigger in here? Chris Bigger's in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you, my friend. It is good to see you. All right. Oh, somebody talking about Aliens. I'm a big fan, man. I'm a big fan of some Aliens. I will tell you that. So this next book, I guess this will be a short video or short live stream, because this next book is all the same thing. It is this one right here, Thundercats issue number 1. I think I found 35 copies of this book in the collection. And what's really cool is that there was a stack of them in not bagged and boarded, well, not individually bagged and boarded, but a stack of them together, unbagged and boarded in a bag with a sales receipt from the original owner. And I'm trying to remember how much he paid. I think he paid basically $14 for 14 copies of this book. And there was no date that I recall on the receipt. I have it somewhere here in the house. But 14 copies, you basically paid $1 a piece for these. The cover price, of course, back in the day was 65 cents. I don't know when he bought them, but he paid about $1 a piece for them. And I had a healthy number of copies of this. I actually gave a lot away as Patreon giveaways and in the months leading up to this. But this book is on fire right now. It really is on fire right now. So we are going to send we're going to send some copies in. I think there's like 14 copies right now. So we're going to send all those in and get some good grades back. This book has some issues with it. Like back in the 80s or whatever, when this was printed, there was like production issues. So there's like ink smears on the back of a lot of them. Absolutely nothing that I can do about that. Fingers crossed the CGC looks at the number of them and is like, well, this is a printer defect. Let's not impact the grade. So I don't know what's going to happen with these. I really don't know what's going to happen. I think somebody put a comment up about a miswrap earlier in the thing. And truthfully, miswraps, miscuts, ink smears to some degree or another don't necessarily hurt a grade of a comic because they will take ink smears out. So miswraps, miscuts don't necessarily impact the grade of a book because they are production defects that we cannot control, right? I think an ink smear potentially could. It won't if it's like the entire run is affected, right? So I'm hoping they look at this and be like, yeah, this is, a lot of books. They all have the same defect. Let's not count that. I don't know which way that ball is going to bounce, to be honest with you. But a miswrap, miscut should not impact the grade. Now, what it does do is impact the desirability of that book. And if you think back to the video that I released on my channel and also on GoCollect's channel many months ago, well, not many months, 2 months ago, where I basically said a 9.8 is not all 9.8s are equal, right? What I meant by that is that you could have a 9.8, but you could have a 9.8 with a miswrap or a miscut, because they don't count against the grade, but they affect the desirability, which means that you could see different prices being paid for a more perfect book versus a less perfect 9.0, 9.8 that has a miswrap. Hopefully all of that made sense, but go to the chat here and you guys let me know. But yeah, you are correct. You are correct that there is a show or something like that in the works by Kevin Smith. So that's part of the reason why this thing is on fire right now. On fire. What is this? I mean, I personally wouldn't send a 9.0 hoping for a 9.8. I would have sold the book raw myself. I think you're probably talking to somebody else in there about that one, but I think I would agree with that. Congrats on this one right here. Super JTW. I just got a Avengers 47. I think one of the things that you have to definitely look at with some of this stuff is you have to look at what is the cost and the time to get a book graded. Sometimes, depending upon the cost to get a book graded and the time to get graded versus the actual value of what Marvel Decoded is hitting on here, is that sometimes you're just better off selling that book raw. And those are really good decisions sometimes to make, to say, you know what, this is a book that should be sold raw. I'm not going to get it graded because the cost and the time don't outweigh the value, right? And sometimes you have to make those calls. So by taking the time to actually look at the books, doing a dirty grade, looking up the values in various pricing guides and services, and helping kind of triangulate, well, what is this really worth at this possible grade? Does this make sense? Yes or no? You can then make the decision as to whether it makes sense to get it graded and to send it in or not. So excellent point there, Marvel Decoded. Thank you for raising that point there. No, no, because that would be a distribution defect, and distribution defects can count. Overspray is a distribution defect that typically does not impact the grade unless it's significant. And overspray, for those that don't know, is basically when books were being distributed to newsstands, they would have them in the stack, right? It would be bound or whatever. And what they would do, they would spray the edge of the book. And I'm not sure why they would spray it. Maybe it was to designate the time at which, or the day at which, or the part of the month in which a book is distributed for the purpose of returns. I don't fully understand distributor spray, but they would spray the books, and sometimes that spray would just get on the edge of the book. No big deal. Sometimes if the book was on the top of the stack and somebody went to go spray it and they sprayed it, they could get a lot more on the cover of the book. And in those cases, that could impact the grade. If it is on the edge of the book, no real issue. No real issue. So yeah, she is. Somebody tagged me. I guess they were upset by the cost that Gail is charging for signing books. And yeah, I guess it's expensive. I personally haven't looked at it right now. So Chris Bigger is giving us some details here. He is saying 144 days is the turnaround time. That is redunculous. Maybe I will do maybe I will do fast track. Maybe I will. Daredevil says, I just scored X-Men 10, 14, 94, 101, 107, 144, and all in one haul to you. Daredevil, I say congratulations, because those are some awesome books. Congrats, my friend. Yeah, those are definitely some good books, man. That every time I see 101, my heart sinks just a little bit. My 101 has the worst misrap ever. The worst misrap known to man. There's a lot of white. I can picture it now. All I see is white on the edge of that cover. And again, it's a high grade, but that misrap makes it slightly less desirable than one that doesn't have a misrap, right? So that goes back to something someone was asking earlier today. How do I send books to CGC? First of all, you click on the link in the description of all of my videos that allow you to set up an account. That is my affiliate link in the description of all of my videos. You click on that, you get yourself an account. Then you go to my channel again and you look on the playlist that is called I think it's CGC Submission. When you click on that playlist, there are about 12 videos in there that will walk you through every single step of submitting a book to CGC, from deciding what you wanted to submit, to figuring out how to submit it by looking at the portal, to packaging your books up and shipping them off, and then everything in between, because I skipped over a couple of things. I literally have a video on every single step of the process for submitting books to CGC, and realistically, a lot of those videos will also help with EGX, EGS, PGX, or CBCS, should you go those routes, in terms of like doing a dirty grade, evaluating what to send, how to package your books up. All of those videos are applicable to all grading companies. So Super JTW, if you have any questions, reach out to me on Instagram and I will gladly help you walk through the process. Kimball says, I'm going to have to pass on getting her signature. He's talking about Gail, the AKA Wonder Woman. He's going to pass on getting it. That signature, man, from again, what this person was saying on Instagram, is pretty expensive. So get that money, Gail. Sheldon, if a run of books was overall a poor print run, would not a mint book from that run be more like a 9.9? So if a run of books was overall a poor print run, so I would give me an example of a book that has the entire print run that is not good. I am not aware of an entire print run that is bad, to be honest with you. So it's hard to say. And what I will say here is that, yes, CGC will grade some things on a curve, which it is a good thing and a bad thing, depending upon where you are. I personally think it's a good thing, right? So in the example of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 800, there was a bindery tear on pretty much every single copy that I've ever seen. There was a bindery tear because of how Marvel opted to bind the book. Instead of doing a square bound the right way, they just did the double staple, tap, tap, right? Bindery tears on the vast majority of the run. And again, every book I've seen, I think, has had a bindery tear. CGC decided that bindery tears are grandfathered in and don't necessarily count against the grade of the book. And so you can still have books that are basically 9.8. That does not mean that a book that doesn't have a bindery tear is a 9.9 or a perfect 10, because they are basically saying that bindery tears are allowable. So I don't know, your question may relate more to grading the entire run on a curve, and I don't know that that's what they would do. I don't know that they would do that. And hopefully I explained that correctly. Hold on. Sorry. Chris Bigger. This guy said that the current turnaround time right now for a submission is 144 days. And then he says that the fast track is 140. Oh my goodness. Rush Diehard. Woof. Whew, you guys are not making me feel good about submitting my books. Okay, let's just put it that way. You guys are not making me feel good. Man, how you doing, brother? Welcome back. Welcome back to the live stream. Let me see. I'm scrolling through some of the comments here. Thanks so much. My 9.4 is a 7.0. Wow. White Pages newsstand. That's what's up. 101 is a 7.5. Oh, you see, you didn't tell me that they were graded, brother. I thought they were raw copies, man. I thought they were raw copies. Well, super congratulations on being able to pick up some graded copies already. That's dope, man. Congrats. Remember the little people. That's all I'm saying to you. Oh, man. Oh, a couple of people throwing out some examples here. I think the last Walking Dead book had some issues too. What did they do, Chris Bigger, with that? That had that run? I'm guessing what you're doing is answering my question based upon Sheldon's question. And my question to you is, what did they do? Do you know how they graded those, the last issue of the Walking Dead book? What did they do there? Scrolling through some of the comments here. William. So William is asking a question here about declare values based upon raw FMV or graded FMV. The good thing, William, is that there is actually a video on the channel right here on YouTube. You can actually search for Regie Collects declare value. The way that I like to think, and that rule right there generally works for everything. If you search on YouTube for Regie Collects term, whatever that term is, you will probably find a video or two that will be helpful to you, right? I've been making a lot of videos, right? The way that I kind of sort of think about declare value is like this. It is insurance. The question is, how much insurance do you want in the event that something happens to your book while it is in CGC's possession? That's kind of the question, right? And I did an interview with CGC, and they actually answered this question, but I still think of it this way in terms of insurance. If I have this Thundercats right here, what value do I place on this book should this book be damaged, right? What would it take for me to get another copy of this book? That's the question that you kind of have to ask yourself. And do you want more insurance or less insurance? So do you use raw book prices because it's raw, or do you assume the graded book price? It is up to you. In my mind, it is up to you to decide how much insurance you want, just like life insurance or any other kind of insurance, house insurance. How much do you want, right? I personally don't put a super high value on a lot of things. I'll probably put a declare value on this book of maybe $5 or $10, to be honest with you, right? Because I have a huge stack of them, right? I will probably put a value of about $5 or $10 on that book. I will probably put a higher value on this book because it's a little harder, a little bit higher on that book, right? That's kind of how my mind works, but everyone is different, right? And again, I would encourage you to go watch that video, Regie Collects declared value, and there should be a video that will. You know, I already washed some dishes. Come on now, brother. You know, I already got some in. $1 million. My man, Joe, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. CGC also reserves the right to make adjustments to your declared value based upon their estimation of some things. So just be aware of that. What is this? Serge says, Regie, question, should we forget about the grading books because of the market value in this fluctuating? I'm not sure that I fully appreciate that question. Should we forget about the grading? I'm not sure that I appreciate that question. I might need some more meat on that bone so that I can answer that question, because I'm not sure that I fully appreciate that one. Kimball says, I have a Batman 3 Jokers first issue number 1, second print that has been at CGC since December. That is brutal. That's a nice book. Is that the one that's the like the mustard and pink? I think I have that book. It's actually a pretty cool cover. It's a pretty cool cover. And that run, the 3 Jokers was a really, really good run. At the time, I had just finished reading, was it Justice League? I think it was Justice League, where the 3 Jokers were revealed, that there were 3 of them, and then 3 Jokers comes out like 2 weeks later. I was like, this is great coincidence. I literally just rolled right into it. But yeah, the turnaround times are definitely brutal. No doubt about that. Shout out to Bentley. Bentley's in the chat. It's good to see you, brother. So let me scroll through some of the let me scroll through some of the comments here. I think I've answered a lot of them, but still looking again. If you throw it up in all caps, it'll actually help me to be able to see it. Rafi says, they're not for sale. Now, my declared value and my sales price are not one and the same, sir. They're I've always wanted to ask you, how do you feel about pressing? I feel very good about it. I'm not sure if there's more to that one. Yeah, you know, I have an entire pressing series on pressing books. So yeah, I fully support the pressing of comics, regardless of age, and also the cleaning of comics. Because if you've ever done it, if you have ever cleaned and pressed a book, to see those books come back to life is a wonderful, wonderful thing. To remove that dust and the debris and the handprints and whatever crud might be on a book, and to see it come back to life is an amazing aspect of this hobby. And there are people out there that believe that is restoration. They believe that it is not good. And one of the things that I will always say is that it is important for us all as individuals to be able to make our own decisions on how we want to handle the books that are in our possession. And if it floats your boat, it floats your boat. If it doesn't, that's actually okay too. It is okay that we don't agree on things. But I'll tell you, before I spend my hard-earned money getting a book graded, I'm going to have it cleaned and pressed before I do so, because I want to take my best shot on goal to get the best possible book that I can get to hang on my wall so that I can stare at it and enjoy it. Hopefully that answers the question, Daredevil. If I took that down the wrong path, just let me know and we can backtrack. Oh man, I'm gonna tell you, brother. I received the most heart-wrenching series of videos earlier today that I have ever received. And I'm being completely honest about that. We had somebody win a book from the channel, sent the book off. I did my normal thing, man. I put a lot of bubble wrap on there. People oftentimes get stuff from me and they're like, thanks for the bubble wrap. And I'm like, well, you know, you're welcome. The book, the box was mangled. The box was mangled. The United States Postal Service actually put the box in a bag. They put the box in a bag because the box was open, because it was just mangled. The slab was, it looked like it had been run over. The slab was cracked, like there was like an entire sections removed and or cracked on this book. It was awful. It was awful. And I had to I made it right. I made it right with the person that won this book, because that's what you do. That's what you do. Yeah, that is not what you were talking about, but that's where I chose to go. Chuck is in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Let me see. There was a question. Should we throw away the grading comic books because of the market? I think it's the same question, and I still don't get it. Should we throw away the grading comic books because of the market fresh? I'm not really sure how to answer that question, brother. I'm not sure how to answer that one. Let me see. Would you press a book if it looked like it might detach a staple from the cover? No, I would not. And CGC potentially would not either. If you have a book that is in that delicate of shape, you don't want to take the chance of damaging that book even more, right? By trying to clean it, which will require, some, you're going to have to put some friction on that book, right? Which could dislodge it. And then if you have to put it in the moisture bath, being exposed to moisture might loosen the paper. Putting it in the press might actually put too much pressure on the book. And I would not do it. I would just let that book be what it is. And in fact, my ASM 15 over there isn't in the best shape. It's not in the best shape. So we don't touch it. We just kind of stare at it, and we appreciate it for the 1.0 that it is. We appreciate it. But yeah, you don't want to take the chance of damaging the book even more by doing some of that stuff. At a certain point, like even if you're cleaning a book, you just say good is good enough, right? Good is good enough with certain things, because at a certain point you can push it too far and you could damage things. You definitely don't want to do that. So there you go. Rush Die Hard says, always clean and press your books. Don't leave money on the table. Yeah, I mean, I want to take my best shot on goal. And you guys know me. Like, I am not a person that imposes what I like and what I believe on other people. Somebody asked me a question, I answer the question. But at the end of the day, we all have to do what we think is the right thing to do for our collection, whatever that thing is. Do what makes you happy, because this is, after all, a hobby, and it should be fun. And yeah, there's a lot of money involved, but you have to do what makes you happy, you know? So, we are not talking about anything. You just stare at those books. I'm gonna tell you, I saw something earlier today that actually was it was a multi-camera streaming service. It was a multi-camera streaming setup. And I was like, man, that would be dope, right? Because I could have like 2 cameras staring at me from different angles. So you guys could see, you know, this side of my face a little bit different from this side of my face. But then I was like, you know what? That third camera, I could put that on the back wall and people could just stare at the books, because that would be dope. I don't know if I'm going to get that 3 camera setup. It was pretty cool. It was also expensive, but I was like, man, that would be dope. Just something different that people don't expect. And now I've just ruined it because I just told you guys that we're going to do it. So I don't know what we're going to do. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Let me see. You know, I don't know that they do that anymore. When does CGC charge a percentage of more valuable books when they receive it? I want to say that they do that. I want to say it might be with walk-in. It's like 3%. I think now they moved, I want to say a little while ago, towards building that cost into the grading costs so that people didn't undervalue their books. I think that that's kind of how they did it, but somebody may have to fact check me on that, because you know, some of the stuff that I might see as a dealer, because I am a dealer for CGC, might be a little bit different from what you guys see. So somebody may have to fact check me on that. I'm certain that someone in here pays closer attention to some of these things than I. So you definitely have my apologies there. My man John here says, I'm sending some to EGS and will wait and use my $150 credit with CGC until turnaround time speeds up. I'm not tying books up for 6 months to a year. I respect that, brother. And I just had a conversation with Tony Trebetta on EGS's channel that he released, I want to say a couple of days ago. A healthy number of people have gone over and checked out that video. If you guys haven't seen, I definitely encourage you to check it out. EGS is doing some good stuff. I think Tony Trebetta is a good guy, and I think he's doing some good stuff. And it is, as you'll hear in the video, we have had a relationship that goes back for a while, and I'm very supportive of what it is that Tony is attempting to do with EGS. You know, regardless of what you see on the wall, I am very supportive of a lot of other people, because again, I don't impress what I choose to do on other folks, and that doesn't mean that I don't support other people. So yes, Kimball, yeah, brother, I would like to. You know, the 1.0 is a book that makes me happy. I'm on the board. Would I like a higher grade? Absolutely. You know, and at some point, just like with Amazing Spider-Man issue #1, we upgraded that. Luckily, we were able to upgrade that, and fingers crossed when the time is right, AF-15 will probably also get upgraded as well. Who knows when that'll be? I mean, I think people forget this. You know, I want to say it was at the beginning. Was it at the beginning of 2020 or the beginning of 2021? I cannot remember, so you guys forgive me. Amazing Fantasy was actually down by like 20 to 30%. It was down 20 to 30%. That's just an illustration that books don't always just go up in value. Sometimes they actually go down in value. And with the blue chip books, a lot of times you see price fluctuations within a year, not necessarily from year to year. So year to year, they do go up, but within the year, sometimes you get some price fluctuations. And you might wonder how I know that. We actually looked back at 40 years of blue chip comics using Overstreet. I had somebody that actually had 40 years worth of Overstreet, and we literally looked up a bunch of Marvel books and DC books, and we saw what happened to those books over the course of 40 years. And yes, the prices went up. So the first 10 years are relatively flat for all of them. But then after that 10th year, the book started to go up. year upon year, but within the year there were little price fluctuations where there were great buying opportunities for some of these awesome books. And Amazing Fantasy again had one about 20 to 30%, either at the beginning of it was probably 2020. It's probably 2020. All right. So let me see. There was a comment that I wanted to read, and let me see if I can find it. There was 123 Ready Set Comics was talking about something. I think I lost track of that. We were talking about that, brother. Man, I put the numbers in, bro. I put the books in, and I had the fast track on, and I was like, let me see what this looks like without the fast track. And then I took it off, and I don't know if I can put it back. I don't know if I can put it back because the price is redunculous. So for those folks that are coming in, here's some of what I'm sending. Let me take Big Will's comment off the screen there. So this is some of what I'm sending in right there. We're sending in multiple copies of X-Men issue number 4, the first appearance of Omega Red. That book, pardon the pun, is red hot right now. Let me see. There was a comment here. Chuck's talking about my multi-camera setup. Regie, who? I just know the video with the books in it. We're going to send in some Aliens 1. I found these a couple of weeks ago in the collection. I think I did a video on that. We're going to send in Black Panther issue number 1. Not a 9.8. The 9.8 is redunculous, but newsstand. This one should be relatively high grade. We're going to send in the 5th print of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles right there. That's a cool book. We're going to send in, depending upon what side of the fence you're on, we're going to send in the cameo appearance of the first appearance of Bishop right here, X-Men Annual number 14. Sending in a couple of copies of this, a little Star Wars action right there, issue number 9. I have one copy of this already that is graded, sitting off to the side. Stay tuned for the video. We have 5 copies of this, Batman Dark Knight's Returns, issue number 1. I think one of them is a second print, I do believe. So we have a nice stack of those. And then we have a massive stack of this right here, Thundercats, issue number 1. I think there is 11 copies that are sitting here. All of these are going to be going into CGC. I don't think any of them are 9.8s, but they're definitely really cool books and should hopefully get a decent grade or 2. Another book, intellectual property that is doing incredibly well right now is Thundercats. So scrolling through some of the comments here. What is this? Chadrick says, I got my free CGC kit to send to them. It's only 5 books and I have no idea what to send. What I would tell you, brother, is forget about that 5 kit thing, right? Just send in more books. Just send in more books, brother. 5 will not do it. Just search for Regie Collects shipping, and you will probably find a half dozen videos that will walk you through how to put together a shipping kit, if you will, to send over to CGC. I think I demonstrate like 3 or 4 different methods for shipping books safely. So check that out if you get a chance. There you go. Somebody corrected me on something we talked about earlier. I felt like they did away with that percentage. I want to say that they moved away from that percentage a little while ago. It's now all built in. But I want to say it's still on the walkthrough. When you do the walkthrough, super high value books, I want to say that the 3% is still there. But again, somebody check me on that one. So is there any other grading company you trust? Yeah, I mean, I would say I've had books graded by CBCS that I was perfectly happy with. I've purchased CGCS books, CBCS books. Sorry, I've sent books in and had great books graded by EGS. So those are the 2 grading companies that I have experience with outside of CGC. I've never sent a book off to PGX. I think I've only maybe owned 3 of them, either through AOKs or because that was just the best price book that I could find, or the only copy of a book that I could find, or something like that. So, yeah, I would say that there are good options out there. A lot of it depends upon personal preference, the services that you need, and what you want to do with the book, right? There is a video on the channel called Best Grading Company. If you search for Regie Collects best grading company, there is a video that will walk you through some of what I just breezed through there in the last couple of seconds. So scrolling through Climbing Comics, my man Alan, it is good to see you, brother. Okay, so here we go. So Sarge is getting back to me, says, What he was trying to say is, should we throw away the comic book guide? So what I would say to you is, if you are pricing comics using a paper resource, that's probably not the best thing to do, right? I don't think that a paper resource can keep up with as dynamic of a market as we have. There are digital services out there, digital pricing services that are out there, whether you're talking about GoCollect or GPA or Cover Price or comicspriceguide.com. Think that's all of them. There are options out there that are updated on a regular and consistent basis. How up to date are they? It depends upon the book that you're talking about and the service, right? Because they all update at different periods. What I would say is that I personally do not buy a comic ever without having some reference point to look at to help me to figure out the value of this book, right? And oftentimes, because of what eBay is doing with blocking their data and requiring people to have relationships with them to get access to the data to be able to represent it in their pricing services, you sometimes have to use a couple of sources in order to triangulate what the price might be. So I personally use GoCollect. I look things up in GoCollect. I look at the most recent sale, because the great thing about GoCollect is you can see, when did the book sell? What are the individual sales? And depending upon the timeliness of what I see in there, I will then also go to eBay and look at sold items. And so between those two things, I get a better idea of how much a book is actually worth, how much I should pay for it, or how much I should sell it for. The reason I don't just go to eBay is because eBay is only one slice of the pie. And as you guys know, eBay has jacked up their fees. Because eBay has jacked up their fees, and because there are fees involved, people tend to try to sell the books for a lot more money to get the most money out of it to offset those fees. So if you look just at eBay, you're only getting maybe an inflated price, right, for a comic. The benefit of using a pricing aggregator is that they pull data in from multiple sources. Which sources? It depends upon the data aggregator, because each one of them is different. So I use a triangulation method in order to figure out what I should pay or what I should sell a book for, or how to value it, for the purpose of sending it to CGC to get it graded and all that other stuff. So hopefully that helps. If it's a print resource, I don't know how you use a print resource in this day and age. If it's a digital resource, I think you have to use them. Again, my personal opinion, I think you have to use them, because if not, you're just taking a chance. You're taking a chance that you're going to catch a brick, and I personally don't like bricks to my face. Hopefully that helps. I think I answered that one pretty thoroughly. I don't think that anything happens with FMV. I don't think anything happens if it actually goes up or goes down, to be honest with you. And I can tell you for a fact that many of the books that I sent in, the numbers look very different. And in many cases, the numbers actually look better than when I sent them in before. You know what I'm saying? And so it could have been this thing, not that I'm trying to justify, but let's put it this way. You send a book in, you wait a long time to get it back. The book is worth more by the time you get it back. Had you gotten it earlier, you would have sold it for less, and now you would be kicking yourself. Not to say the turnaround times that are long are a good thing. I'm simply saying, I try to look at the bright side. Let me scroll to some of the comments here. I was scrolling to some of the comments here. A pretty fly for a Filipino guy has a facsimile edition of something. I don't know what your 8.0 is, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a facsimile edition that's 8.0, you need to step your game up, sir. Step your game up. If you're going to get a facsimile, it has to be a 9.8. That's all I'm saying to you right there. Let me see. Hey, don't blame me. You blame your compatriots that are in this room that are making me a little off, right? You talk to these guys about throwing out these crazy topics, asking me to riff on them. Is CBCS having long turnaround times too? I'm moving to South America at the end of the year, and I'm afraid that if I submit to CGC, the books won't make it back in time. You know, brother, I honestly cannot answer that question with any certainty. There are people that send books into CGC and CBCS that get books back relatively quickly. I don't know what kind of voodoo they're doing, but there are people that get their books back, right? I have an order that I sent in to CGC, I'm sorry, to CBCS months ago. That order is still sitting there. It's been 4 months. I don't know. My experience is what it is, that grading companies have long turnaround times. That is my personal experience. There are people in this chat that will potentially have different experiences and different points of view. But that is mine. That is mine. So scrolling through some of the comments here. Let me see. I'm scrolling through. I believe that the grading companies so the grading companies actually use not Overstreet pricing. They base their grading criteria on Overstreet because that is the grandfather of grading criteria. I can tell you for a fact that most of the grading companies, no, that's not the right way to say it. All of the grading companies base their grading criteria on Overstreet. A few of them have developed their own criteria on top of what Overstreet did. So Overstreet, for example, could have no way of knowing that the printing process was going to change and that paper was going to be wavy as a result of them printing different types of inks on different types of paper, right? So Overstreet could never have predicted wavy paper, right? But CGC, for example, has opted to grandfather wavy paper in. So you could have a comic with wavy paper because of modern printing technologies and still have that book get a 9.8. That is just one example of where they are based on Overstreet, but they have taken a slight departure that some view as good, others view as bad. So hopefully that helps and kind of explains that comment right there. So scrolling through some of the comments here, let me see. We are talking about everything. We are literally talking about everything and we're doing it all at once. This video or this live stream was originally started where I could share with you guys some of the books that I'm sending over to CGC to have graded. And then it is devolved into a ADHD type of stream where I am responding to whatever happens to come up in the chat. That is how we are rolling right now. I respect it, brother. The Gibbon. I don't know if we want the Gibbon grading comics with those big mitts of his. He might Gibbon handle some of the books a little too roughly. I don't know if we want that. Overstreet Guide would allow for a significantly higher number of 9.9s and 10.0s than CGC gives. Ooh, Doug dropping some knowledge in here. He's dropping some knowledge in here. Let me see. Scrolling through some of the comments again, if you guys want to throw things up there in all caps. Big Will is saying CBCS modern turnaround time is 17 weeks. Next tier up is 19 weeks. 4 months. Yeah. And again, all grading companies, man, are being hit really, really hard. And it is not trying to explain away any of this stuff. It just kind of, I would just say it might be off the rails. I don't know. It's chaos. We're chaos in here. Okay, brother, we are chaos. My man Joe dropping the super chat. Coffee for me, headed to bed early flight to New Orleans. Brother, be safe on that flight. Thank you for stopping by and hanging out for a little bit. I absolutely appreciate you, my man. Be well, have a safe flight. Stay away from the hurricanes in New Orleans. The hurricanes do a body no good. Trust me when I tell you. All right. Scrolling through. All right. So I think I'm all caught up. I think I'm actually all caught up on this super random chat. Xavier's in the house. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Let me see. I'm kind of scrolling back up through some comments, trying to see if there's anything interesting to talk about. There we go. My man saying CBCS's lead time is increasing a lot. And again, it's because, things weren't, looking good for CGC. And I think a lot of people were like, well, let's go over to CBCS and have a different experience. And now I do not think that they were prepared for a massive influx of books. And I know that they were saying that they would never hire graders and then turn them, right loose on books. And I respect that. But if you are not staffed up for a massive influx of books, it will have a devastating impact on your turnaround time. And that potentially is what some people are seeing out there. And again, grading companies are being hit hard, no doubt about it. Have I seen the trailer? I have not, but I will tell you, I'm excited to see Titan Season 3. Titans seasons 1 and 2 were incredible. They really were incredible. By far the best DC thing that I've ever watched. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm actually looking forward to season 3. Have not seen it, but I am looking forward to it. So any interesting CGC interview? No, you know what? I actually invited them on. I invited them on recently, man. We were supposed to get together a couple of times over the course of this pandemic, and we just haven't had an opportunity to do it. And I don't think that at the moment they are prepared to have a conversation, just because of where they are right now with some of the things that are going on. So I don't think they're prepared, but rest assured that I will continue to try to engage them and hopefully get them on the show at some point, because it has been a while. I spoke to Matt Nelson, who was promoted to president, and I reached out to him with that announcement and congratulated him on that. He's a really good guy. I've had an opportunity to interview him a couple of times and also meet him in person. He is a nice guy, and I could not be more happy for him. But yeah, fingers crossed that we can get some CGC folks on the channel at some point. Scrolling through, how do I feel having raw books bagged and boarded and a top loader? I don't use top loaders. I don't use them. I never have used them. Not my bailiwick. I'm a big fan of either poly bags or Mylar. Vast majority of my comics are actually in poly bags, because I think poly bags are great for the vast majority of books. When a book reaches a certain dollar amount, and I don't even know what that dollar amount is, right? It's more like, oh, that's an expensive book. It gets a Mylar, or if it's just a book that I really like, it gets a Mylar and it gets a couple of backing boards to keep it super rigid. But top loaders is something that I've never done. I've actually purchased books that are in top loaders. I've thrown the top loaders away or given them away. I'm not a top loader guy. And again, if that floats your boat, if that makes you happy, you go for it. But not my thing. Scrolling through some of the comments here. I don't even know what this means. Do you think CTC is going to wait PSA? I don't know anything about that. That's some trading card stuff, game, baseball cards. No, I need my buddy Neo here. I am out of my depth with that one, my friend. I cannot answer that question. You definitely have my apology on that. No, I have never lost a book at CGC. They have sent me a book on the wrong label before, which was corrected. I've had books with debris inside of them. They've corrected that before, but never lost a comic at CGC, because I do have a lot of books on there. So scrolling through, there you go. Rush Diehard's talking about my lights and fullbacks. As I mentioned, I think it was in yesterday's live stream, I'm a polybag guy. I'm a polybag guy, Mylar guy, but I primarily use BCW products. I've been using BCW since I was a kid. I tried to use the My Lights and the E-Gerber stuff, and they're good. They're good. I could just never, ever really get it right, to be honest with you, with the sizes and the right backing board and having the right quantities on hand. I just gave up, and BCW is much easier for me to find, so that's what I just roll with. Doug says, I've had a book at CBCS for a long time, but I'm getting signature verification, so I'm okay with it. I've had a magazine-sized book at CGC for over 5.5 months and counting. Goodness gracious, sweet Christmas. Scrolling through, let me see. Rodney, how you doing, brother? He says, only book I've ever sent to CGC for grading was my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles third print. Paid over $200 because I was nervous about losing it. I respect it. We've got some turtles here. We got some turtles here on the desk. This is the fifth print, issue number 1 right there. We are sending that one in to CGC. Hopefully we get a good grade back on that book. Scrolling through some of the comments here. There you go. If you can do it, that might be the best way to go, man. But when you have the collection that I do, and when I'm trying to make the hobby work for me, you got to send some books in to CGC. And that's what we're doing right now. I will tell you, a lot of the books that are coming back from CGC are going to be made available on regiecollects.com, because again, I'm trying to buy more of this stuff on the back wall. So we've got to move some other stuff so that I can buy more of this stuff back there. Maybe we'll get an upgrade of AF-15. I don't know. I don't know if we can move that much inventory, because that book is ridiculous right now. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up, man. I want to thank you guys for giving me some really good stuff to talk about. Right? I mean, I came on here. I honestly thought I was only going to be on for maybe 20 minutes, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I enjoyed it, and I definitely want to thank you guys for like the participation, because you guys help make chats like this fun by having the dialogue, by throwing out these different questions and talking amongst yourself. That's what makes it fun. So I want to thank you guys for doing your part. Fingers crossed that I can continue to do mine. Keep your fingers, toes, and other things crossed for me as I bundle these books up and send them to CGC. Hopefully we can, do better than the 144 days and the 140 fast track that Chris Bigger was talking about. That guy always has some jokes. I sometimes enjoy him. Anyway, if you guys need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. And like I said, if you need me, I am not too hard to find. And don't forget to watch the video that I released earlier today for my friends over at Shortbox for a chance to win a $100 discount on anything that you buy from Shortbox. We're going to be doing that drawing, not this week, but probably next week, doing the Comics Today show. So make sure you go by, watch the video. The criteria for entry is incredibly low, but I think you'll also enjoy the video. So please give that a watch, and, go ahead and click on the link in the description of the video and go to Shortbox and all that good stuff. Take care.